Have you ever thought of this question? What happens when society doesn't have enough babies? A new book argues it can lead to economic, political, and cultural disaster. What? Jonathan Last is the author of What to Expect When No One's Expecting. I love the title, by the way. Good morning, Jonathan Last.
Good morning. Thank you.
So is your message to America this morning, get busy in the bedroom is the best way to serve your country?
Let's put on some Barry White, get drunk, and make bad decisions. No, so the message of the book is that there's no example in recorded human history of a society experiencing long-term peace and prosperity with declining populations. And that's where we're heading to now. The American people have been below the replacement rate fertility since the early 1970s. And that's going to put big strains on Medicare and Social Security and slow down our economy, just like we've seen happening in Japan and Greece.
But I've always heard that we're overpopulated in society.
In fact, we're really not. We're actually, the global fertility rate has been dropping for 40 years now. We are headed towards population contraction worldwide within the next 60 years.
Mm-hmm. What causes this? I mean, why then is there this, as you call it, a demographic disaster looming?
It's this big constellation of forces. Just to give you the short list, things like the creation of Social Security, the decline in infant mortality, the rise of contraception, the universality of college. Now, some of these changes are really very good, but even good changes can come with costs.
Your title is obviously kind of a play on the book that has been on the bestseller list for ages and ages, the What to Expect When You're Expecting, that every new mom sort of picks up when she's pregnant. It's our Bible. Yeah. Exactly, a play on that. But there's some people who are going to read this book and say, wait a minute, women have been empowered by having less children.
Everybody's been empowered by having less children because having kids is sort of a raw deal, right? There are lots of studies showing that it makes you less happy. It costs an enormous amount of money. But on the other hand, if you look at ideal fertility studies here in America, most women and men say that they would like to have about 2.5 children, and we only actually have about 1.9 children on average. So people aren't reaching their fertility ideals in America.
Mm-hmm. But you use words like disaster, calamity. Why is it a disaster and a calamity if we don't have more kids?
So and
you're looking at the overall picture, I know.
Right.
So break it down in those terms.
So look at Japan. Japan is just further ahead of us down this demographic road. In the 1980s, Japan looked like it was going to rule the world. They were buying up Manhattan property. The Japanese bought Rockefeller Center. Toyota had outstripped General Motors. And we were all wearing Sony Walkman and talking about how we had to learn Japanese. But even then, at the height of their powers, Japanese demographers were warning the Japanese people their fertility rate was too low. They did not have the demographics to sustain their economic success. And in the 1990s, the Japanese economy hit a wall, and it's still there today. And you have some really dire consequences. You have generational warfare. Just last week, the Japanese finance minister said that it was important for older Japanese people to hurry up and die. We would like to avoid this sort of thing in America, I think.
Well, what about the threats of overpopulation on our Earth, the environmental consequences of that? That is a real concern, isn't it?
It is, but it isn't an either-or sort of situation here. If you look at the economic research pioneered by Esther Boserups and Julian Simon, what they posit is that increasing population also leads to increasing innovation and technological advance, all of which spurs environmental conservation. This is why commodities prices have dropped worldwide over the last 100 years. If you look at the American environment, it was miserable during the 1970s. We had acid rain, we had smog, we had, our rivers and lakes terribly polluted. 40 years later, our population has increased by 50%. But our environment is much smarter and more sustainable.
All right, Jonathan, your last chapter is how to make babies. Do you doubt that people don't remember?
Well, a lot of people, it's a very complicated subject.
No, it is a complicated subject, and it's more than just having sex. You have a whole bigger plan in mind. Thank you, Jonathan Last.
Thank you.